Let's just dive right into this, because today we're looking at a story that's going to completely challenge what you think is possible. We're talking about someone who spent an absolute fortune to achieve one singular, highly unusual dream.
I mean, really, imagine spending a massive fortune on one dream, but on what? When most people think of having unlimited funds, they immediately go to the usual suspects, right? Not buying a sprawling mega mansion, not picking up a custom supercar, and not even booking a ticket to travel into space. Actually, scratch that. The subject of our explainer today didn't want any of those things.
Instead, he spent his fortune to look like a dog. Seriously. Sounds completely impossible, right? Well, one Japanese man took this incredibly unusual childhood fascination with animals, and he just flat out refused to let it fade away as he grew up. He decided to turn it into a physical, breathtaking reality. And let me tell you, when he first revealed the results online, the internet completely lost its mind. People were genuinely asking, wait, is that actually real? And it's so easy to see why. When people first saw him, they honestly couldn't believe what they were looking at. He didn't look like a guy just wearing a cheap, floppy suit from a pop-up costume shop. At first glance, he looked exactly like an actual living, breathing dog.
Now, because the internet has a habit of making bizarre stories even more bizarre, social media was instantly flooded with these wild claims. You'd see one post claiming one crazy amount of money, another calling the guy a millionaire, and others literally claiming it was some kind of magical transformation or extreme surgery. But let's set the record straight right now. This wasn't surgery, it wasn't some weird scientific experiment, and no, he didn't magically transform into an animal. The reality is that this was simply a unique childhood dream brought to life through custom design and incredibly detailed costume-making technology.
His online identity became known to the world as Toco, and the crucial point here is that for Toco, this wasn't just some prank for social media clout. Think about it. For most of us, childhood dreams eventually disappear. We dream of being astronauts or superheroes, and then, school, work, and responsibilities take over. Those dreams just turn into distant memories. But Toco? He refused to let his unusual dreams slowly become a memory. He wanted to actively explore what it would actually feel like to appear as a dog in the real world. Of course, to achieve that level of unparalleled realism, he couldn't just walk into a store and buy an ordinary costume. He invested millions of Japanese yen, an absolute fortune, to hire professional designers who specialize in highly realistic costumes. He wanted something that could recreate the exact appearance of a real dog with incredible detail, something that would literally make people look twice and question their own eyes.
And the sheer engineering involved in pulling this off is just staggering. I mean, human bodies and animal bodies are shaped entirely differently, right? The proportions of a person's shoulders, legs, and torso don't naturally match those of a four-legged animal at all. You can't just slip a dog suit over a human frame and expect it to look natural. The team had to follow precise steps. First, taking incredibly detailed measurements of Toco's body. Second, conducting advanced 3D modeling and intensely studying the specific dog breed's anatomy. And finally, using artificial fur and precise construction techniques to perfectly mask those distinct human proportions.
Now, if you're thinking this is just an isolated, odd hobby, think again. These exact same methods are used every day in movies, television, theme parks, and professional entertainment. What looks completely impossible at first glance is actually just the direct application of modern craftsmanship. Toco basically took the specialized engineering usually reserved for Hollywood special effects or high-end theme parks and applied it directly to his own personal dream. And according to his own explanations shared online, the entire goal was exactly this: experiencing life from a completely different perspective. Just imagine the surreal nature of this for a second. Toco began filming himself interacting with the world. Picture walking into a room and everyone suddenly thinks they're looking at a giant dog. Imagine seeing people react to you, completely unaware that there's a human inside that fur. That experience alone would be absolutely mind-bending. So this brings us to exactly why this story completely broke the internet. It's driven by a psychological phenomenon known as the curiosity gap. Basically, it's that intense need to know how something happened when we see an unbelievable transformation. We all love a good before and after story, and our brains desperately crave an explanation. Toco's incredibly realistic transformation naturally triggered that desperate need in millions of viewers, which is exactly why his videos went global practically overnight. And, when you really break it down, Toco's hobby might be extreme, sure, but it's not entirely alien to human nature. I mean, for centuries, humans have historically used masks, theater, and storytelling to temporarily step into different identities. Actors become fictional characters, performers play superheroes, we wear elaborate costumes during festivals, and children spend hours pretending to be animals. Toco simply took that universal human desire and invested significant resources to do it with unprecedented realism. Ultimately, this is just so much more than a bizarre internet oddity. It's a profound exploration of imagination, technology, and personal freedom. People started debating whether his hobby was strange or if it was simply an expression of doing what makes you happy. Look, we all have interests others might not understand, but Toco made a choice to not abandon a meaningful dream simply because other people might find it strange. There is a very real sense of personal freedom in that decision. And this story illustrates a pretty profound point for all of us. The world really is changing faster than ever. Decades ago, creating a physical suit this realistic would have been nearly impossible for an average person. But today, specialized designers can use digital modeling, advanced synthetic materials, and modern fabrication to build things that would have looked like pure science fiction just 30 years ago. An imaginary idea can now become a physical, tangible reality. Which brings us to our final thought. The strangest dreams don't always have to disappear. So I want to turn this back to you for a second. How far can imagination really go? How far would you go to experience the life you've always imagined? If you had unlimited funds and could turn one completely unusual, long-forgotten childhood dream into reality, what would you choose? Because as Toco proved to the entire world, sometimes someone actually decides to build it.